Welcome to SikhCast, brought to you by Sikh Research Institute, illuminating every path.
Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you for joining us for another discussion on Sabad Hajare Patshahi 10वीं. This is the third podcast episode in a series of 11, so I hope you've been following along with us so far. I'm Jasleen Kaur. I'm a research associate at SikhRI, and I'm joined today again by Harinder Singh, co-founder of SikhRI and innovation director. Fateh Harinder Singh, how are you?
Oh, well, Guru Fateh, and to you and everyone listening, Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
So before we get into the conversation, I'm going to play a recitation by Harinder Singh, who is a research associate in Gurbani linguistics, and then I'll be reading the English translation. A note about the pronunciation in this recitation is that it follows the most simple and non-discretionary pattern meant for the masses. So Harinder Singh is pronouncing it the way it's inscribed. Let's take a listen.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ ਰਾਮ ਕਲੀ ਪਾਤਿਸਾਹੀ 10ਵੀਂ ਰੇ ਮਨ ਇਹ ਬਿਧ ਜੋਗ ਕਮਾਓ ਸਿੰਘੀ ਸਾਚੁ ਅਕਪਟ ਕੰਠੁਲਾ ਧਿਆਨ ਵਿਭੂਤ ਚੜਾਓ ਰਹਾਓ ਤਾਂਤੀ ਗਹੋ ਆਤਮ ਬਸ ਕਰ ਕੀ ਪਿਛਾ ਨਾਮ ਆਧਾਰੰ ਬਾਜੈ ਪਰਮ ਤਾਰ ਤਤ ਹਰਿ ਕੋ ਉਪਜੈ ਰਾਗ ਰਸਾਰੰ ਉਗਟੈ ਤਾਨ ਤਰੰਗ ਰੰਗਿਅਤ ਗਿਆਨ ਗੀਤ ਬੰਧਾਨੰ ਚੱਕ ਚੱਕ ਰਹੇ ਦੇਵ ਦਾਨਵ ਮੋਨੇ ਛਕ ਛਕ ਵਿਉਮ ਵਿਵਾਨਮ ਆਤਮ ਉਪਦੇਸ਼ ਪੇਸ਼ ਸੰਜਮ ਕੋ ਜਾਪ ਸੋ ਅਜਪਾ ਜਾਪੈ ਸਦਾ ਰਹਿ ਕੰਚਨ ਸੀ ਕਾਇਆ ਕਾਲ ਨਾ ਕਬਹੂ ਵਿਆਪੈ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ
Now that we've taken a listen to the recitation, I'm going to read the English translation and we'll get into the conversation. Ramkali Sovereign 10. O mind, earn the union by this method. Consider truth as a horn, non-deception a necklace, and ascend ash of contemplation. Pause, reflect. Control inner self as to hold a one-string instrument, and Nam identification as a support to receive alms. Experience the essence of Har One as the sound of supreme strings. That's where melodious musical modes emerge. Wave of color love arises from melodic improvisations and compositions of songs of deep knowledge. Gods, demons, and sages witness in amazement. Those riding skies are in happiness. Control inner self as the instruction. Practice self-restraint as garb. Unrecitable recitation as the recitation. That's how the body always remains golden. The fear of death does not affect it. So, Harinder Singh, I wanted to ask you a bit about the context of this Shabad. And I know that from our last conversation, Ramkali is a musical mode that evokes emotions of discipline and pain and triumph. And you had also spoken about this idea of the budding of the beautiful. But I wanted to know more about the particular context of this Shabad because we are dealing with this yoga paradigm. So the title you had chosen for your translation was Yoga Disrupted. and then this question of what kind of yoga. So if you could elaborate on that paradigm for those who aren't familiar with it, that would be great.
Sure. So it is Rag Ramkali. And in Ramkali, other than this idea of uh, objects which we will be dealing with, where we can see how the discipline, pain, and the triumph comes around, it's for us to actually have our own budding. But I want to introduce another thing here because the word gets invoked within this Shabad. There is a rus of things. We talked about there's a rus or a flavor or a sentiment of a rag. And Ramkali's rus, as they call it, in its musical expression, has multiple shades and subtleties of gray. That's the understanding in the Indian classical music. In fact, it is even associated with their god or their deity or the messenger called Yama, the Jama, the Jam, the Dut, the messenger of death. And you'll notice that those references are coming very much directly into this Shabad as well. So the yoga paradigm, many of us are aware of this, but we are aware of it as more like an exercise these days. You know what harm it is if we are doing something to discipline the body. No, it's nothing. It cannot just be reduced to that, although that's what we are aware of. So this particular Shabad, the first Shabad, got into the sannyas element from the yogi idea. Here, this is exactly about jog. Jog, yog, or yoga are exactly same things. What we are mostly familiar with, Jasleen, especially in the West, we are used to seeing these signs of Bikram yogas or Hatha yoga. Well, they are an element which comes out of this yogic philosophy. And that yogic philosophy is one of the six schools of Hindu philosophies. It is much more than uh, what we are used to. I mean, it's yoga has many practices all over the world, and even in our Netflix documentary, some of us may be watching. You see some of that, where eventually the objective is to control and still the mind. That's what yoga is really after, and it has many popular forms. And hatha and tantric happen to be making it to most documentaries and billboards these days. So, in that context, the word jog really matters because this is talking about what is the method for the jog. And jog literally is union. It is also the word which is used as one of the six systems of Hindu philosophy, popularly called yoga now.
Yeah, I think that's really important because when I first read the word jog, I immediately thought only of yoga. And I think that like multi-layered meaning is important because that paradigm is being sort of reconfigured or subverted. So that actually brings me to the next question because it is about that first line where the Guru says, "O mind, earn the union by this method." So you've already talked about union. But I also wanted to ask you about earn, because we've seen in our work on the Guru Granth Sahib project that this word earn comes when we're talking about earning service or earning pilgrimage. And I wonder what it means to earn union, like how you understand that phrase. Because there's two things that I think about when I think about like that as a phrase is like the first one is that we maybe think that union or connection is kind of up to just chance. So that there's like no agency or effort or anything that needs to be made towards that goal. It's just like either you get it or you don't, which I think is one kind of school of thought. But then I'm also thinking about like these paradigms that we've been talking about and sort of this like transactional relationship that we could have with the one, where we think that like if we do enough sort of things or go through enough of the sort of spiritual motions, we will have built up a kind of like spiritual credit. And then we can, and it's like through that accumulation of like earning certain rituals or certain cleansings that we can earn union. So I just wanted to know what you think about that. Maybe that's a stretch, but that's kind of how I've understood it, and I wanted to hear from you as well.
Well, that's a good way to at least create one understanding of it, because we are used to transactional methods in this world, even in our relationships, right?
Yeah.
So, firstly, I mean, this is Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj talking, right? So, when Sahib, the sovereign, is talking, it's very important. Just like the first Shabad, it spoke to the mind, which means it is about the self. This Shabad is also speaking to the mind, which means it is a direction to my mind. And what Guru Gobind Singh is telling me when I personalize is how do you unite? Harinder, are you listening to what Guru Gobind Singh Sahib is saying, how to unite with the one? Because there is a separation from the one. So what he's saying is you can either attach yourself or join yourself with the one, or harness yourself as the way yoga is telling or the yogic philosophy is telling, or you can do this. And this part is where he describes his method. Because every yogi, every Siddh, every guru, or whatever else word we may say in the West or the East, they have their own method. And this is Guru Gobind Singh Sahab's method, where he essentially is saying all this paraphernalia, all these things which yogis do, he's going to say, instead of those, these are the things which I would do to unite. And earning part is very important here. I think there's a wordplay going on there. You picked up on that. Earning is, which means it requires effort, which is what you were talking about. But there's something else going on. Earning requires effort, of course. The other part is yogis didn't earn. They are always critiquing the people who are earning, but they go to them for their survivals. So earning here is, this is a self effort. The mind needs to understand you cannot pay someone to do things for you. You have to do it yourself. And it is at the same time saying, be very careful. To me, it's saying this. Harinder, be very careful people who don't earn their living, because they are just philosophizing or they're doing something else. So earning here implies that everyday people do understand earning. Yogis don't earn in the sense we earn, in the way we were discussing transactionally, right?
Yeah.
So earning is effort as well as a wordplay with everyday people who understand what earning really is, the level of effort it takes, the physical effort it takes as well.
Yeah, no, that's really helpful. I think, yeah, it's fun for me to like dive into the kind of layers of certain word choices. I think there's always more to discover. But you had mentioned like the paraphernalia of the yogi, which brings me to that next part of the Raha line, where Guru Gobind Singh Sahib says, consider truth as a horn, non-deception a necklace, and ascend ash of contemplation. So horn, necklace, ash. These are like the sort of physical elements of the yogi's, I don't know, uniform or sort of world. Paraphernalia is a good word to use, but I wanted to sort of ask a little bit more about that specifically, because coming from my context, I'm not super sure on what the horn is or the necklace. I know we talked about the ash in our first podcast on Shabad 1, but if you could kind of take us through that other set of elements, that would be great.
Well, the paraphernalia is attached to a practice. So they are not paraphernalias for the sake of paraphernalias. Yogis do utilize them, they're part of their rituals. So the horn, they actually call it singi. The rosary-like necklace they are being referenced here is what they call kanthala, which is made of rudra beads. I mean, if you go online and Google it, people are selling this everywhere in the world these days, because they believe particular beads create particular effects to have in either as a rosary or as a necklace. And vibhut is obviously an ash, which they're either putting on a particular part of the body or throughout their body. And what this is saying to me is that the Guru Sahib is disrupting all of that again. And the 10th sovereign very clearly says, it's really, you need to play the music of truth, which essentially means voicing the truth. And otherwise, voicing the horn is just one practice based on one particular paraphernalia. And the other thing will be, instead of wearing this necklace, having this rosary-like necklace or kanthala made of rudra beads, how about if I actually am not deceptive in my living? Deception is what the Guru is after. Just like in the first phrase, the musical truth is what Guru is after. And the third part is, look, I don't need to rub anything on my body. If I do want to rub something on our body, it is not a substance. It is the contemplation, contemplating the dhyan. Earlier it was naam. The first Shabad said naam. Now the word dhyan is coming into play, which is contemplating on how do I unite with the one, have a union with the one.
Yeah, and I think that this also gets at what you had said in the last podcast episode in some way about like even those who are renunciates are not fully renunciates because there's all these like systems and things that they have, sort of tools of spiritual practice or tools of attempting some kind of connection. So it's just interesting because this listing of objects, I think, kind of evokes that juxtaposition.
And we need to apply this listing to the current Sikh practices as well.
Yeah.
It is not about yogic practice. That's just an example. Those who choose to do that, if you want to accept a particular yogi as your guru, that's your prerogative. I'm accepting, and the Sikh Panth accepts Dasve Patshahi as the guru. So I'm interested in what he's defining. And if you notice, his stuff is all about not substances which we are used to, but the behaviors we need to be getting used to.
Yeah.
And this is the real big jump. So if Sikhs get upset about a particular paraphernalia, if I may call it again, or particular tool or a practice, if it is not in line with some other Sikhs practice, we need to pause there. That's what this Shabad is saying. That's the pause line. Wait a second. Is the truth coming out? Is deception going away? Is contemplation entering? Because this is the method to unite with the one. This is the method to end the separation, which is causing so many pains in life.
Yeah, that's really helpful because, again, it's really easy to mistakenly read these as like not being applicable to us. So thank you for that sort of expansion of the literal into something that we can also understand as being applicable to ourselves. I think like I'm really interested in the mention of music in this composition, and I'll read the lines before I ask this question. But the Guru says, "Experience the essence of Had One as the sound of supreme strings. That's where melodious musical modes emerge. Wave of color love arises from melodic improvisations and compositions of songs of deep knowledge." There's a lot to unpack there, but I guess the first question I have is like, why, in your understanding, why music? Like, why mention music?
Because music is where we connect in a what we'll say non-analytical sense. This is that part of our brain, our personalities, our existence, where things are nadam. Everything is not vedam. Vedang is the literary element of things. And this is Guru Nanak telling us in Japji Sahib very clearly. If there is one thing which Guru did, it was singing the Shabad. Because the word part is understanding. Sound part is experiencing. And that is through the music. And this is why in this line, where yogis use, that one string instrument is actually called a kingri. It's like, is this kingri helping you control your mind? Or are you just playing this because you also need to have an instrument? Has naam become your support instead of the support bag you carry? And it's in this context, and the bag is to collect the alms, which general public earns, and in that context, Guru says, it's the rasarang part. I'm very interested. Are you experiencing the ras of this music? The vibrations of Hari, the one who eliminates the fear, the one who is all pervasive, the one who is all force. Are you experiencing the strike of that Har, that vibration, that melody, which will help us identify with that Har, So because we are suffering, right? In suffering, everything, we can't be lecturing people in suffering. There are pangs of separation. In fact, I use the word panacea to end this separation is the music, is what this line is saying. So if I want to personally identify with the what Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj is saying, and want to become intimate with it, music is very much part of that. And he continues on this. He's like, if you want waves and waves of these music, you need to be colored in the love of the beloved. Now, the yogis don't enjoy ras. They are very anti-ras. And Guru's saying we need to be completely experiencing the ras. It's only then the anand comes, the joy comes. That's the interpretation of this. Out of these songs, these tans, he used the word tan, which is improvisation as well. Tan is also like a sort of a longest melodic passage, in the musical system of Hindustani paramparas. But what the Guru is really after is this: look, the music plays a huge, it strikes within you, it creates some melody within you. And this melody helps us end our suffering of separation, the hijr. And the more this music plays, both the one which is defined, just like in the Ramkali Rag, it's defined, but undefined, which is the one which plays within you when you are drenched, when you are colored, when you are in love. And that harmony is what a naam produces within you. This is really when the knowledge, even the deeper knowledge, the songs of deeper knowledge will be coming to you at that time. So actually, the music helps you gain knowledge. And the music helps you create vibrations which otherwise you're not ready, because you're otherwise you're fixated on or concentrating on particular mudra, on how to sit and what to contemplate on one particular word. Guru is saying all that gets disrupted when the musical harmony is born within you, and this one line, one string instrument is not enough. And the example he gives is, even the gods you believe in, the demons you believe in, the sages you believe in, they all listen to this music, and this is how the Naam was born in them. And even the ones who are riding in the skies, and let me just cover that one. I know it's a little bit long response. Riding in the skies was one of the challenging things I had to figure in this one out. What does it really mean? I had to think, who is riding in the skies? We think of this mythological characters who are the chariots and the charioteers riding. Well, actually, it's natural stuff as well. The suns, the moons, and the stars, they are also listening to the music. And the way I got that insight was because Guru Nanak Sahib tells us, Sare ga rahe ne. In Japji and Rehras, we read this, that it's the song which everyone is singing. So the ones who are riding in the skies, which means whatever is available to us in this cosmic systems we live in, and the suns, moon, stars, and other galaxy systems we are. So they are also listening to this music. So music is universal. Music is even the ones you believe who are condemned like demons, even it helps them. And the ones who are blessed like gods as they believed. And on your masters, on your sages. So everyone's listening to this music. And this music, which you externally listen to, produces internal harmony.
Yeah, I think I've been thinking about the improvisation line, and I know we had sort of talked about this in our conversations, but I remember this is a little bit of a tangent, but I remember being in a cappella in college, and so I'd sing in an a cappella group, and something that I think I came to understand about the moments when you're improvising is that if you're thinking when you're trying to do it, it won't work. And it has to really come out of you. And there's kind of I know we had talked about this, but you have to first train to be able to not think, to be able to just feel. And so it's not that there's no effort required, but it's that you train and you put that effort in. And then in that moment when you're trying to improvise, when the song is coming out of you in that way, your brain is off and it's all heart, it's all feeling. And I think that's something that has stuck with me about this composition of part of the paradigm that we're all in, whether we're yogis or not, is that we tend to stay at the mind. Yeah. And the mind is so stubborn. Yeah. And even when we're explaining what a musical mode evokes emotion wise, it's not going to capture it the way that just listening to it and feeling it would, right? These are things that we can't sort of put into words all the way. So that's really stuck with me
And this experience, because you are practicing particular musical system, right? So you have that experience. Now, in the line, in this Sabad's line, Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj is an ustad in music as well. He plays instruments and he vocals. He writes, he composes, he writes, and he reveals all these words we use, right? And sings. So this line actually goes to, from this human element you talked about, to the next elements, that tapi gaho atam vas, like baje param tat, I mean tar tat. So all these, you can think about string instruments. It's like multiple varieties of these are being played. And when they play harko, but imagine now they're playing the actual haris, the hari where Guru Gobind Singh's hari, not the gods and goddesses hari, which are the incarnations of Vishnu. It's like multiple instruments are being played. They are singing the songs of Har. And out of those playings, then upjay rag rasarang. And this is the most beautiful line in this Shabad for me, because upjay is that something which is born. So there is no effort. Effort part is the first part. All this is getting played. And then something is born in that environment. It's like the gava when the orchestra is playing, and then the tan is going to come, and that rag rasarang, you are going to enjoy this music. Ras, there is a sentiment which will be born. There's a flavor which you will taste. And then the next says, then improvisation comes on its own. Ugta tan, tarang rang. And then out of that rises this wave of tan, this improvisation. And out of that improvisation is then born the Gyan Geet Bandhana. That song of knowledge is born in that environment. It's beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much for that. Yeah, I think I only really have one more question that's kind of along a similar line, not as much music as it is recitation. So the second to last line, the Guru says, control inner self as the instruction, practice self-restraint as garb. And then this is the part that I'm wondering about, unrecitable recitation as the recitation. I don't know what that means. And I think it's like a question that I've had in other sort of situations too, in other shabads, of like, what is this unrecitable recitation that is being referred to here? And I fully understand that I'm in my mind right now after we've talked about being in the heart, but I wanted to know what you think that's like getting at.
Yeah. So the actual phrase, what you are referring to is jap so ajappa japa. Now, look, first thing is, in the larger context of Guru Granth Sahib and the Gurus, we know they tell us that this is something which cannot be recited, it is something, a story of her cannot be narrated. It's unnarratable. But whatever experience we have, we narrate that. So I cannot narrate that. Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj is narrating this. And what he's saying in this context is, look, you can keep working on the instructions of yogi on how he likes to control, or you can work on controlling the mind. Remember, that's the method he's after, which is different than yogi's method. So what in that method, what is the practice? He says you can practice wearing the garbs of the yogi, or you can practice certain self-restraints from the vices. And out of those practices, naturally then, what cannot be recited, you get to recite. So it happens naturally. This is why to talk about the first part. It says, Atam Updes Pes Sanjam Ko Jap so Ajappa Japa. So when you stop doing certain practices and start doing other practices, and this is where our dichotomies are. Guru is very clear that you need to change your practice, and then this unrecitable recitation will happen, which basically means you're not forcing specific recitations, specific mantras, specific phrases like the yogis and the other non-yogi yogis also tell us to do. So Guru is not telling us to do that. He says, this is, if you are interested in earning this union, And if you want your body to remain golden, let me connect it to that. And what is remaining golden? We all, the gold standards, the gold word gets used in a different ways, which basically means the fear of death is not there. You are healthy, you're fearless, and you are remaining in this union with the one. So essentially, it is about coming out of the fixations of the yoga and developing the intimate feeling for the one, intimate love for the one. And the musical elements help us develop that love. And that's where the yoga that matters to Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj is that of what is being described here of the union, not the yoga of particular paraphernalia or practice.
Yeah.
So Ajappa Jap is something which is born within you in that environment when we have changed the way we think and we have changed the way we practice certain things.
Yeah, I think that both the framing of like what is the music of the yogis, which is not really like, it's like more like a one tone thing, versus the music that the guru's talking about. What is the recitation that the yogis do versus this unrecitable recitation? Like, I think that play is really interesting. And I thank you so much for providing the context around both of those. I think that we can sort of close the conversation now with just a final question about like what has stuck out to you about this composition. What's stuck with you over the period of time that you've been working on it? I'm just interested in that.
Yeah, it's a guru's approach, right? Guru doesn't say don't do yoga. He's like, let's do this kind of yoga. So it's always not saying don't do this, which is sort of our habits these days.
Yes.
He's like, let's do it like this, which is essentially reframing and giving a solution what to do instead of saying what you are doing is, because what we're doing is not working. So you can refine what is not working. You can change its outer manifestations. This approach of the guru is beautiful. And obviously the challenge here was, as I mentioned, that how do you interpret Chak Chak Byom Bevanang? That was the line. Like, who's riding in the skies? And obviously the larger context of Guru Granth Sahib helped in there. And the Ajappa Jap part you talked about, because we cannot narrate this. That's why we need help of the Guru. And here Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj is helping us actually recite that, narrate that for us. And remember, I mentioned to end this that Ramkali in the Indian systems for the yogis, including, has a grayish idea. And this grayness, they deal with the yama, the death. And the line, the Shabad, ends with that idea. Kal na kabhu vyapah. That it's actually playing with the yogis, that you also fear death. It's playing with us. We all fear death. That grayness within you will not even will have any effect on you if you have ended your separation with the one. The ones who are in the separation with the one, they are the ones where the fear of death actually enters and remains. If you want it to go away, it's again, number one thing we all understand. We may not be able to identify with certain things in certain shabads. We all identify that death does worry us. We are concerned about death. He's like, okay, if nothing else, at the end of the day, this fear will go out of you when you are connected with this kind of yoga, this kind of union with the one.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I know I'll probably say this every episode, but this has been really wonderful and really inspiring to kind of delve into this more deeply. So I hope our listeners are also feeling inspired by this conversation and maybe picking up on a word or phrase or something that they're going to keep thinking about in their own journeys. So thank you very much, Harinder Singh.
Absolutely. And as a reminder, remember, it is about the celebration of Guru Gobind Singh Maharaj. So the way Bhai Balbir Singh sings this, if you listen to his rendition, perhaps that element of Rag Rasarang, we may be able to get glimpses of that, and a particular harmony or melody or a wave of love may born within us as well.
Yeah. Thank you for reminding the listeners about that as well. And I think, as always, I hope that you'll join us again next time for our next conversation on Sabad 3. And in the meantime, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to email me at jasleen.kaur@sikhri.org. Thank you, Harinder Singh.
No, thank you, Jasleen, for weaving in your excellent questions, and to all the listeners. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki
Waheguru Ji Ki
Fateh.
Fateh. For a deeper appreciation and connection with the Sabad, we have added Bible Beer Singh's rendition. We hope you enjoy it.
ਧੰਨ ਧੰਨ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹੀ ਦਸਵੀਂ ਰਾਗ ਰਾਮ ਕਲੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹੀ ਦਸਵੀਂ ए बेद जोग कमा रे मन ए बेद जोग कमा रे मन ए बेद जोग कमा ਕਪਤ ਕੰਠ ਨਾ ਸਿੰਘੇ ਸਾਜ ਕਪਤ ਕੰਠ ਨਾ ਗਿਆਨ ਬੇਭੂਤ ਚੜ੍ਹਾਓ ਧਿਆਨ ਬੇਭੂਤ ਚੜ੍ਹਾਓ ਰੇ ਮਨ ਬਿਨ ਜੋਤ ਗਵਾ Go ਕਪਟ ਕੰਠਿਲਾ ਸਿੰਘ ਸਾਰ ਅਕਪਟ ਕੰਠਲਾ ਧਿਆਨ ਬੇਭੂ ਚੜਾ ਧਿਆਨ ਬੇਭੂ ਚੜਾ ਰੇ ਮਨੀਏ ਵਿਦ ਜੋ ਉਗਟੈ ਤਾਨ ਤਰੰਗ ਰੰਗ ਅਤ ਧਾਰੇ ਦਾ ਨੀ ਦਾ ਬਾ ਨਾ ਪਾ ਪਾ ਮਾ ਪਾ ਨੀ ਦਾ ਬਾ ਨੀ ਦਾ ਬਾ ਧਮਾ ਪਾ ਗਾ ਮਗਰ ਪਾ ਮਾ ਪਾ ਗਾ ਨੀ ਦਾ ਬਾ ਨੀ ਦਾ ਧਾ ਸਾ ਨੀ ਦਾ ਬਾ ਮਾ ਪਾ ਨੀ ਦਾ ਬਾ ਧਮਾ ਪਾ ਗਾ ਗਾ ਮਗਰ ਉਗਟੈ ਤਾਂ ਤਰੰਗ ਰੰਗ ਅਤ ਗਿਆਨ ਗੀਤ ਬੰਧਾਨ ਗਿਆਨ ਗੀਤ ਬੰਧਾਨ ਚੱਕ ਚੱਕ ਰਹੇ ਦੇਵ ਦਾਨਵ ਚੱਕ ਚੱਕ ਰਹੇ ਛਕ ਛਕ ਵਿਓਮ ਵਿਵਾਨ ਛਕ ਛਕ ਵਿਓਮ ਵਿਵਾਨ ਰੇ ਮਨ ਕੇ ਵੇਦ ਜੋ ਰੇ ਮਨ ਕੇ ਵੇਦ ਜੋ ਰੇ ਮਨੀਏ ਵਿਦ ਜੋਗ ਕਮਾਉ ਚੜਾਓ ਜੀ ਰੇ ਮਨ ਰੇ ਮਨ ਏ ਵੇਦ ਜੋ ਰੇ ਮਨ ਏ ਮਨ mama baga gama pa mama baga gama paga gama gare sa mama baga gama gare sa ਉਪਜੈ ਕਿਆ ਉਗਟੈ ਤਾਨ ਤਰੰਗ ਰੰਗ ਅਤ ਗਿਆਨ ਗੀਤ ਬੰਧਾਨ ਚੱਕ ਚੱਕ ਰਹੇ ਦੇਵ ਦਾਨਵ ਮਨ ਛਕ ਛਕ ਵਿਓਮ ਭਵਾਨ ਆਤਮ ਉਪਦੇਸ਼ ਭੇਸ ਸੰਜਮ ਕੋ ਆਤਮ ਉਪਦੇਸ਼ ਭੇਸ ਸੰਜਮ ਕੋ ਜਾਪ ਸੋ ਅਜਪਾ ਜਾਪੇ ਜਾਪ ਸੋ ਅਜਪਾ ਜਾਪੇ ਸਦਾ ਰਹੇ ਕੰਜਨ ਸੀ ਕਾਇਆ ਸਦਾ ਕੰਜਨ ਸੀ ਕਾਇਆ ਕਾਲ ਨਾ ਕਬਹੂ ਵਿਆਪੈ ਕਾਲ ਨਾ ਕਬਹੂ ਵਿਆਪੈ ਇਹ ਮਨ ਕੇ ਬਿਦ ਜੋ ਮਨ ਇਹ ਬਿਦ ਜੋ ਕਮਾਏ ਮਨ ਕੇ ਜਿਦ ਜੋ ਕਮਾਓ आत्म उपदेश भेष संयम को जाप सो अजपा जापे सदा रहे कंचन सी काय आल न कबहू व्यापे रे मन ए जो गवाओ रे मन ए बेद रे मन ए बेद रे मन आ जोग
You were listening to SikhCast by Sikh Research Institute, illuminating every path.